Hey everyone, it's Matt from Train Sim Society, and welcome back to the channel, or welcome if you're new. So today I'm going to be reviewing the Frankfurt S-Bahn, S1, S8, and S9 route for Train Sim World 5. I've now had some time to experience the full version for myself, not just watching the preview stream, but hands-on gameplay across multiple services, both full and reduced timetables. So in this video, I'll be breaking down what this route offers, how it performs, at least for me on my machine, what console players are actually getting, and why I have strong feelings about how this is being sold. So this route gives us 3 S-Bahn lines through Frankfurt, the S1, S8, and S9. The map stretches between Frankfurt and Wiesbaden, passing through stations like Mainz, Frankfurt HBF, and even 2 underground airport stations. The route is set before the opening of Gateway Gardens, so you're running through the older airport approach. With this DLC, you get 3 main trains: the brand new DBBR430, which is making its TSW debut, the DBBR423, which has a new interior specific to this region, and the BR143 with Dostos for regional services. It's important to note though that there's no freight gameplay included, which makes sense. This is a commuter-focused route after all. If you're on PC and own all the relevant DLC, you'll see layers from routes like Frankfurt Fulda, Kassel Würzburg, Bremen Oldenburg, and others as well. These will add AI, ICE, and freight traffic, as well as additional regional services. So this is going to create a very busy, complex timetable that spans 24 hours. Again, if you are on PC. If you're on consoles, well, you're getting a different experience. Let's talk about that now. On PC, with all active layers, the full timetable includes over 1,000 services. It is jam-packed. You've got playable and AI services running across the entire map, and that AI traffic is crucial. It's going to bring stations to life and really make you feel like you're actually part of a massive transit network. On console though, it's a different story, specifically PS5 and Xbox Series X and S, because on 8th gen consoles, they're not getting it. But with 9th gen, you're getting the reduced timetable, even though it's now being labeled as the, in quotes, standard timetable. No, let's call it what it is, cut down. The service count drops to around 635 total, and the biggest loss, there is no AI traffic on that timetable either. That means what you see on the map is only what you can play. During peak times like rush hour at Frankfurt, this station is going to feel like a ghost town, which is quite crazy considering this is a route that's designed to feel busy and interconnected, so that's gonna be a big immersion hit. It's the same experience lengthwise in terms of the map and lines that you get though, and even the base trains, but the environment is going to feel stripped back. And I think what sucks the most about this, and it's hard for me to not bring it up in my review, is console players still have to pay the full price. All of these points are points I've made previously in other videos, but now that I'm doing my official review of this DLC, I can't not bring this up. So let's talk about performance. I play this route on a high-end PC. For transparency, I have an RTX 4090, an i9-14900K CPU, 64 gigs of RAM, and an ultra-wide 2K monitor. Everything's maxed out, and yeah, the first few runs were rough. Constant hitching, even brief freezes at times, especially right after launching the game or starting a new service. But after completing a few runs, things did smooth out. That early stuttering seemed mostly tied to shader caching and world streaming though, so once I had a few sessions under my belt, performance felt a lot more stable overall. But it is worth noting, running this route for the first time could yield some performance issues. It's just frustrating for me. I hate the whole shader caching every time you run a brand new route for the first time. I just wish this game could be optimized in a way to where we could just shader cache everything when we launch and load the game. So many other games do this, but for some reason it's just not possible for TSW right now, but I hope that changes one day. So I tested both the full and reduced, which they're now calling standard timetable versions on PC, and the performance was basically identical, which was surprising. I was expecting the reduced version to run better, but it didn't, which honestly tells me this is probably more about how the game is optimized at a core level than how many services are actually active. It is worth mentioning the LZ LZB section leading up to the airport, where the line speed hits 220, was one of the worst spots for performance in terms of stuttering. I was running an ICE service and I was getting hitches every 2 to 3 seconds, and sometimes it would freeze for multiple seconds. It wasn't even just a micro stutter or a little micro hitch, something that was barely noticeable. Full on freezes when I don't have this on any other route really, other than Frankfurt Fulda, but that definitely really impacted immersion. And while it didn't crash, at least not yet, it absolutely took away from the experience. And tunnel lighting also remains a huge issue. The sudden flashes of light and the flickering while in total darkness make no sense. The brightness of the control panel in front of you, everything is just so off. And this isn't just a one-off bug, this is happening across multiple DLCs and has been happening pretty much for every single route release since, what, TSW3? Since we got the lighting upgrade. And I think it's time Dovetail makes this a priority. I understand it's a core issue, but I'm gonna bring it up in these reviews because it still affects every new release that we get. Frame rate wise, I was hitting 144 FPS consistently, especially when I dropped my resolution and scaling percentage down, but that didn't help the stuttering, unfortunately. So again, this isn't really about GPU horsepower. I think it's just more about how the game handles world loading, memory, and asset streaming. But if you're on PC and you're past those first few runs, the route does settle down, but it's not flawless, and the heavier areas of the network still demand improvement. So now in terms of audio, for the brand new BR430, while I'm not a German player and can't really speak to whether the sounds are fully accurate, I can definitely speak to the quality of what I'm hearing. And honestly, the sounds are very good. The track rumble sounds solid, especially at high speeds. Flange sounds are there, and the horn doesn't feel cheap or looped and doesn't clip or anything. Everything sounds clean and well recorded, so from a quality standpoint, I think this meets TSW5 standards. So in terms of scenarios, there are 5 included with this route, and they offer a great amount of variety. I talked about this in a previous video. I think at this point, Dovetail usually does a good job designing these, and that's no different here. But that said, once you play them, that is kind of it though. There isn't replay value. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is kind of variety that I wish we had more of in timetable mode, especially through things like random events, but I won't get into that here. So the service variety is really where this route shines. Even though it's mainly all commuter rail, the variation in stopping patterns, directions, and paths is very impressive. The S1, S8, and S9 lines take different variations of paths from Frankfurt to Wiesbaden, some crossing at different points, some not all stopping at the same places. Some services go express, some make more stops, and some cut off at different points. So this is a route that really focuses on that variation. And I can tell this is probably gonna end up being one of my favorite routes. Now in terms of scenery and detail work, this is one of the best looking German routes in TSW, hands down. The trackside and station clutter, graffiti, variation and foliage, not using the same tree over and over again. The bridge architecture, which I've talked about before, everything looks so clean and appropriately scaled. They did an amazing job with this. I have to give them their 10s. The airport station, specifically amazing, especially the underground platforms, the wall textures and pillars. I've mentioned this before too, they even modeled an amphitheater. Every time I come up to this station, I get out and walk over to it because it's so neat. These are the kinds of things that we need in routes, and I'm so happy that they took the time to model all of this. Thankfully, in my time playing, I haven't personally noticed any floating scenery bugs or misaligned assets or anything. Sometimes we get bad tree placement where the branches are flying through the cab. Surprisingly, I haven't experienced that on the services that I've ran. I feel like there's at least one tree that flies through the cab on every single route. Maybe there is on this one, I just haven't experienced it yet, but for the most part, I think we're good there. But again, I mention it, the tunnel lighting needs major work. It's an immersion killer. Every time you enter a tunnel, it's like you're entering through the gates of heaven. I know it's not route specific, but it's affecting every new route, so it's just so off-putting. So now I want to talk about the console cutbacks. This is a section that is hard to talk about because it is frustrating and it doesn't feel like it's being addressed the right way. So console players are getting the reduced timetable. There is no AI, no layered services, the world feels empty, and yet they're paying the same price. Now, Dovetail did explain in the preview stream that even if you disable trains with the layer selector, the data still loads into memory, and that means the reduced version is the only one that's stable enough to release on Gen 9 consoles for now. But here's the issue. That's not an excuse for full price. If the product is reduced, I think the price should reflect that, or at the very least, it should be clearly labeled as a cut down build. Players should not be making informed purchases. Most console players won't know they're getting less unless they watch the stream or read the forums, because now they're marketing this reduced timetable as the standard timetable. So what does that make the PC timetable then? The PC one is the standard. That should be the standard going forward. Yes, I understand a lot of resources are used to, build the worlds, lay the track, do the scenery, make the trains, and some people go, well, the timetable must not take that much of their time, so why would they charge less? It doesn't matter. When people are paying for these products, when they're driving these trains, most of their time is on these services. That's where all of the gameplay actually comes in. So yeah, there should be a cut in price, maybe not the full 40%, but at least something. Charging the exact same amount when they're getting a completely different product that's being marketed in a weird way as the standard timetable when it's actually the reduced is so weird. I'm sorry. I just can't get behind it. I just gotta say, if you're on console, do not buy this yet. Do not support this version at full price. I definitely think you should wait until the timetable is either fixed or the core engine changes happen, because buying it now sends the message that this is okay and it's acceptable, and they're gonna keep doing what they did here. So if you like unlocks, the route does include a mastery poster and a festival themed tile at Wiesbaden that plays music during the day and night. It's a small touch, but it's nice to have something unique tied to gameplay. As per usual, there's free roam and route hopping as well if you own other German DLC, including connections from Frankfurt Fulda to Link Rheinstreck. So if you want to do multiple end-to-end runs, route hopping, you more than can. So for my final verdict, this is one of the best designed commuter routes we've seen in TSW, visually, structurally, and operationally. Now on PC with the full timetable, I think it's worth every penny. The train quality is high, stations well detailed, the variety in service design is strong, and the route actually feels alive. But that experience is not what console players are getting. Console players are getting a quieter, flatter, stripped down version and being asked to pay the same price for it. These are issues I didn't really want to mention in my review, but if you're a console player, these things matter. Dovetail has said the memory issues are real, and I believe that. But if that's the case, then something else has to give. Either price or transparency. If you're on PC, great route, highly recommend. If you're on console, wait. Do not buy this yet. Hold your money until the full timetable is supported and the experience is brought in line with what PC players are getting, or at least until there is a decent reduction in price. So let me know in the comments, what platform are you playing on? Are you buying it now, waiting, or skipping out on this one? Unfortunately, some of you have no choice as it isn't on Gen 8 platforms. But Gen 9, will you be picking up? Will you be waiting, or have you already picked up? And what do you think about the route? What do you like about it? What do you not like? Let me know below. That's gonna be it from me. Thank you guys so much for clicking and watching. Take care and happy rail simming, guys.